Welcome back everybody, it's been a minute. I finally have the Bendigo video to share with you all. I've just come back from the launch of Pennyweight Lane last week, so I'm going to have some clips to share with you later on the video of that. But for now, let's just jump into it and I'll walk you through the project. So this piece was commissioned as part of a open air gallery for a Victorian city, Bendigo. And the idea of this gallery was to brighten up a laneway without having to paint over the existing heritage listed walls that are currently there. So there was about 10 artists. Each artist was allocated a set amount of boards. There was people who didn't have much experience with painting murals, and there was some people who had a lot of experience painting murals. And so different people were allocated different amounts of boards, and these boards were essentially mounted to a pretty cool metal scaffolding system down the alleyway, and that allowed art to hang on both sides of the alleyway without directly impacting the walls themselves. And the basic idea of this was just to simply brighten a already existing pretty dull laneway, make it a little bit more interesting, and to support the local art community. So I was allocated 4 boards that were going to be positioned at one side of the alleyway and facing out to one of the main streets there. Everyone's board, or individual board, was the same size, which is about 2.5 by 1.5 meters. So I had 4 that were positioned together to make a rectangle composition. And in regards to sort of everyone's subject matter, about a week or 2 into the project, we actually had a meeting with all the artists and sort of spoke about whether there was going to be a theme or whether we wanted to be a little bit more free-flowing and sort of allow the artwork to represent the artist. And essentially what we decided on was to do exactly that, and to scratch the theme idea, everyone to do whatever they want, and have the artwork more so reflect the artist and their sort of background, or where they've come from, or their set style, or whatever it may be. So I sort of use the rich gold mining history in Bendigo and also the gold mining history of the actual laneway itself, and ran with that and used that as sort of a base for my ideas. I came up with this sort of old gold miner who has these gold tracks like running out of his eyes, or his eye sockets, and it was sort of just a bit of a representation on the sort of gold rush and the gold fever that sort of took over that town, and sort of the ambition for success, or to find that success and to hopefully, hit it rich. And yeah, that's basically what I ran with. So like most of my murals, I started out with a pencil sketch, just a really basic pencil sketch, and then took straight to the boards and really just ran with it from there. I wanted things to be quite realistic, as I try to do in a lot of my paintings, but I also really like the idea of having a little bit of almost a pop art style background where it's just super bright and colourful. So I kind of went with this blue skyscape, which sort of makes sense with the miner anyway, but I just wanted it to be really, really bright and to sort of stand out and pop against the walls themselves, and just kind of hopefully create a bit of interest. So the way I work is I normally just sketch out my ideas. I sort of had a little drawing in a sketchbook that I sort of just did with a couple of colour pencils, and then I sort of went crazy from there. Since we're painting on wooden panels, I used outdoor exterior paints. The laneway is obviously outside, so it's going to catch a bit of weather here and there. Not only the sun, but rain, etc. Especially since it's wood, you can face things like warping, so it needs to be sealed correctly. But I just used exterior paint from Bunnings, and then actually I didn't even seal it in the end. I just sealed all edges of the board basically. So I painted the back, painted the front and the sides, and that's how I went about that. I've been really enjoying lately having the opportunity to paint these sort of larger scale works through murals. Previously I've always worked in sketchbooks or smaller canvases, never anything too large, so it's just like a completely different process and a different way of thinking to work on such a larger scale. I mean, even just with actually creating creating the boards themselves, well, the canvas itself, and setting up the boards correctly was a mission in itself. And sort of having that limited space in my garage that I could work within, there was challenges in just getting the canvas set up. So yeah, I definitely learned a lot from it. It was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed the painting itself as well. I was really happy with my color choices, and I didn't really have too many hiccups along the way. Everything sort of just worked out as planned, which was always nice. Yeah, and then sort of once I'd finished the actual painting, about a week or two later, I headed down to Bendigo for the launch event. Shout out to Reese, who I stay with. He runs Nitro Station, which is a really awesome company who organizes and collaborates with a lot of artists to do different murals for different companies. Yeah, and they just do a lot of awesome work. So on the Saturday, I went and checked out a underpass project that Nitro Station had just completed with a couple of artists local to Bendigo, and then headed down to the opening. There was actually quite a lot more people than I was expecting. I thought because the laneway had been open already for about 2 weeks that a lot of people would have already been down and seen it, but there was actually a pretty awesome turnout. There was 50 or 60 people there. The mayor showed up, the paper showed up, which is always cool. There was some buskers playing around, and yeah, the sort of overall feedback of everyone's art was really good. Everything was well received. There was a lot of different styles and a lot of different sort of takes on the wooden boards, so it was really interesting to see how the other artists sort of went about using different mediums and sort of communicating their different ideas. It was a really fun project, and I was stoked to be a part of it. Hopefully going to collaborate with Nitro Station in the future, whether that's in Melbourne or down in Bendigo again. And as far as what's coming up, I've got a couple of small projects and commissions leading up to Christmas, but I'm sort of just winding down for the year and more so trying to plan things for early Jan. And that's about it. So for now, I'm going to let the music ride the rest of this one out, and I'll catch you out in the next video.